everyone, Dylan from the Smart Economy podcast. We're on day 2 of Permissionless III, joined by Rushi Manche, the co-founder of Movement Labs. How you doing today, Rushi?
Hey Dylan, super. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm super psyched to kind of delve into what you're working on, but we've been starting all these conversations off with what was your genesis coming into crypto and blockchain, and why did you have to build here?
Yeah, so I was early into distributed systems. I was the youngest hire at United Health Group. Basically help them convert on-prem databases in the cloud. So my background was distributed systems and database engineering. And then I was like, okay, crypto is super cool because you have distributed systems, but at scale. And then there's this whole token economic policy built into it. So I started engineering in early Ethereum space, freelance engineering, on Fiverr. Got in Cosmos ecosystem early on. It was early Cosmos dev. And then today, around November 2022, I was Move is super cool, from the early DM Facebook days, and we wanted to start moving and bring Move to Ethereum. So yeah, that's what started the thesis.
Cool. So you built an EVM, then you built in CosmWasm IBC lens, and now you're building an EVM L2?
Yeah.
So why build an EVM L2 after you were in Cosmos? Did you kind of see the writing on the wall with maybe some potential negative sentiment from the community? And then B, why did you also feel like Move was the language or the VM to be compiling?
So it's a Move VM L2. So it's a EVM and Move VM proportion. So you can write Solidity smart contracts, which is EVM, and you can also write Move smart contracts. So the thesis behind Movement was to bring this high throughput execution layer where the current EVM and current Cosmos chains, they're very slow, clunky, etc. Move brings this concept of parallelization, high throughput execution, and the ability to do tens of thousands of transactions per second on Ethereum. So our thesis was we want to bring fast, cheap, and most importantly, safe execution. Every year, there's $4.5 billion lost in smart contract hacks. I'm sure if you watch this, you've been hacked, scammed, rugged, or something. Move is working to bring a secure and equitable environment for people bringing crypto. So fast and secure on Ethereum.
Yeah, and so is there also an opportunity to kind of maybe be a bigger fish in a small pond in the Move VM ecosystem, because it is a relatively new VM? So what's the attraction there, and how bullish are you on Move VM actually taking up a large part of developer market share?
I mean, my life is Move now. I say Gmove probably once every hour at this point. The thesis was it's in Web 2 you had PHP as the first programming language for websites, and you had JavaScript, which is the main kind of programming language for websites now. You have React and Vue. So similarly, you had Solidity, which is the PHP, and you have JavaScript or Rust, which is the main blockchain programming language. You have Solana VM, which is a C-level virtual machine, which is React, and you have Move virtual machine, which is the Vue. So thesis is we believe Move as a framework. When Move started off a year ago, it was 3% developers. Today, around 7.5% of monthly active developers, Move developers. Next year, it'll be 14.2. So the thesis is we believe in Rust-based programming. We believe in this framework that will scale every year. And so far, so good. I think the Move L1s have done phenomenal, and we're seeing a lot of growth there.
So who are the types of developers you're starting to collaborate with? Are these Rust native developers? Are they Python, Go devs who are Rust curious?
Yeah. So I think we're seeing a good amount of migration from Rust developers. Rust as a language is increasing market share. Microsoft just announced that they're using Rust for all their code bases. There's biotech, Rust-based code base is important for Graph SQL and stuff. So across the board, Rust developers are increasing, and what we're seeing is migration from Web 2 developers and non-crypto developers picking up Move, because it's so much easier to pick up, much more safer to pick up, and there's actually new developers coming into the ecosystem. Instead of the EVM land is same 5 developers hopping between different chains.
Right.
With Move, you're cultivating a new developing group, and they'll learn the language and they'll stick around because they just learn a new language. Whereas EVM, you can pick it up and put it on a new chain pretty easily.
Yeah, and so is that kind of what the meta is then? Is Facebook kind of pioneered the Move language, and a lot of Web 2 devs are probably familiar with it. So you're just starting to capture Web 2, Web 3 curious Web 2 devs?
Yeah, my best analogy is that there's more devs at Facebook itself than all of crypto, which is pretty funny, right? It's we have all this stuff, and Facebook itself has more devs, which means we're so early in crypto development. EVM has not won. In fact, I'd say it's getting started off, and it's actually going to lose long term. I see current apps like Aave, Uniswap as legacy EVM code, and then the future of consumer gaming, etc., are all on Rust-based programming.
Yeah. So so let's take a step back. Movement itself is an L2.
Yes.
What is the ecosystem like?
Yeah. So I'd say across the board on DeFi, we're seeing this need for secure DeFi. Right now, if you use current any EVMs, there's smart contract hacks, bad UX. We have teams like Meridian, Echelon, et cetera, that are bringing secure lending, secure DeFi, secure liquid staking. They've raised over 8 million combined. On Deepin, we're seeing Up Network, which is the first movement phone. They've sold over 5 million units. They just raised their seed round as well. So imagine like you and I have Androids, you have movement wallets, movement apps, all built, installed. We have Sentiment, which is like a jewelry company. So imagine you have a wristband. Every time you tap it, you can remember where exactly you got the wristband from. And like gaming side, we're seeing a good amount of demand as well. Like Infinite Seas is a fully launched MMO. We're seeing them come to market, and so there's this good overlap between like consumer gaming and secure DeFi. I would say like the DeFi narrative is kind of like there's already a lot of DeFi right now.
Right.
But what can we next step unlock is like guarantees. So if you're an institutional LP like Franklin Templeton, you finally feel comfortable deploying on chain because you're not getting hacked for $4.5 billion every year. There's over $2 billion secured in the Move ecosystem and 0 hacks to date.
So I think VCs get kind of like a bad rap in this space,
Yeah.
but for an ecosystem to have like a project to VC funnel can really help create a lifeline
Yep.
for these projects and give them runway. So is there kind of like VC entities that are keeping an eye on movement?
Yep.
And do you have good relationships with them to funnel projects that have gotten from 0 to 1?
The ultimate goal of ecosystem is to empower builders and like give them their own careers, startups. In 5 years, we want no one to know movement, but people to know the apps on top of it, right? The apps raise Series A, Series Bs, etc. And that's what we're seeing in Solana right now. So with movement, we have a close, tight-knit VC group and like investors that are obviously early movement investors, but also really care about the ecosystem and want to support builders. So I would say there's like 10 to 15 VCs that actively review our investors and all of our portfolio companies and ecosystem companies and help them out.
Yeah, and so like for security, what state do you guys kind of like settle to ultimately? Like, are you leveraging Ethereum layer 1?
Yeah, so you settle on Ethereum layer 1.
All right, cool. So you're here, you're speaking on 2 panels, 2 events, you're doing debates, and they both center around L2s and modularity.
Yep.
We were talking before we recorded how you're typically on the pro modularity side.
Yep.
I just want to maybe throw devil's advocate out there and say the market is craving Solana.
Yep.
Like we've seen a lot of people building on it. We've seen the market price it higher.
Yep.
So why do you still feel so kind of strong in your stance in the pro modularity argument when we're seeing like right now at this point in time, the market's saying we want a monolithic chain?
Even Solana is going modular, right? Like you have dozens of Solana L2s like Grass, Wind, etc. They're all launching their own Solana ephemeral or centralized sequence rollups. You have base rollups coming with Solana. You have Solana restaking with Jito. You have, I saw Solana L3s coming out. So like the piece of this, like modularity's concept is permissionless innovation. So like if you're a Solana builder and current Solana L1 has bottlenecks or you want different customizations, you'll launch your own custom chain. So regardless of whether Solana is doing well or not, I would argue that Solana is going modular. There's like restaking the shared sequencers, there's a bunch of different things, so yeah.
So then another thing that I've been kind of like keeping a finger on the pulse of is how do like L2s not siphon value away from the underlying L1. If you look at ETH token holders right now, they're mad because price isn't accumulating, because there's Arbitrum, there's Optimism, there's all these L2s that are kind of like taking away that value that accrues to the ETH. However, for the developer and for the blockchain user, we're really happy. Fees are cheap, things are fast. So how do you kind of like balance this L2 narrative out there where it makes it faster and you have more options to build on top of, while there's still like token holders who are a little bit upset that maybe the value doesn't accrue to that L1 asset?
I can't speak for the Ethereum Foundation. I think there's like talks to like should Ethereum focus on L1 or like focus on L2s. I think if they focus on L1, it'll be a problem because the teams like Solana, Sui, etc. will simply outpace that of Ethereum. So I think it's important to focus on the layer 2s themselves, the ecosystem layer 2s. There's some things like base rollups that come in market which accrue value back to layer 1. There's base sequencing that accrues value back to L1. There's Solana's like ephemeral rollups, which are like kind of base rollups for Solana. So I would say like the end game for Ethereum is now this like global settlement layer, which might affect price action. Like obviously it's not like value accruing directly back to L1, but the thesis is that we're still using Ethereum as a global computer. There's still mindshare on Ethereum. People still want Ethereum for security, and that will still be priced eventually, hopefully.
Do you have any kind of other L1s on your radar to potentially like settle your state to, or is kind of Ethereum the thing for now?
For the main rollup, we're focused on Ethereum, but we have teams doing elsewhere. So Nexio, they raised like $2.5 million. doing MoveVM on Bitcoin. We have Tonic, which is like a MoveVM on Ton. We have Solana Labs doing Move itself on like the LLVM level. And then we're seeing some experimentation like Polkadot, Avalanche, etc. So I would say the three main area points we're focusing on is Ethereum, which is main L2, Nexia, which is Bitcoin, and then Ton, which is Tonic.
Cool. Been asking everyone here. We're at a US-based conference. I was just in Singapore for Token 2049. Completely different vibe than what's happening here in the States. Are you at all bogged down by regulatory ambiguity?
Yep.
How does that impact like your vision and your ability to say, I'm going to be building here for 1 year, 2 year, 5 years?
It definitely makes life a little bit trickier. But as an American, ride, die, live America as long as I can. I think the job of companies in crypto in America is to change the status quo. So like, for as long as I'm in crypto, I'll be in America, I'll be trying to change things. And I think that's why we're here.
There we go. This is the second day of Permissionless. We're about halfway through. Have there been any key takeaways that you've had at this event or any kind of like aha moments?
We're seeing a lot of legislators. I think last year there wasn't as many policy discussions, especially with elections coming up. Obviously, there's a lot of policymakers here and a lot of people talking about crypto as part of election, which I think is net positive, right? Like I think 6 years ago, 7 years ago, people were like, "Oh, crypto is a scam," like it's like terrorist money, etc. But now we have made like the U.S. president's talking about crypto as a policy, which even if it doesn't work out in our favor, like the fact that it's being talked about, the fact that Polymarket is the biggest news outlet for elections is very, very important. I think we made a lot of strides.
Totally. Who do you want to talk to, and what's the best way they can reach out to you?
I'm at Rushi Manche on Twitter, at Movement Labs XYZ on Twitter, and feel free to DM me.
Awesome. Thanks for the time, Rushi.
Thanks so much, Dylan. Appreciate it.
If you guys want to see any of the other interviews we've had here at Permissionless, head over to the Neo News Today YouTube channel.
Cheers.